into the front room. Marlow Kubik with you right here, back on the TFR set at Brantwood Studios. Yes, it's been a while.
The room looks the same.
Right, and it's been nice. The network has been playing best of shows.
Yes,
and
there are quite a few.
There's quite a few. Actually, we have tons of them, and we are slowly dishing them out as we go through life. Boy, I had low energy today. I don't know why. I feel just low on energy. I'm not sure why.
It's because we didn't start drinking yet.
Maybe that's it. I don't know if the drinking
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I have friends who are heroin addicts that have more energy than I do, so I can't figure that.
Scary.
Yeah, I can't really figure that out. But nostalgia today, it's weird because nostalgia kind of has a bad rap.
Why?
In the Common Dictionary, if you look up the meaning, longing for times past, yearning for the good old days.
See, I think of it as more just reminiscing.
Right, and I do too.
And I think that's a good thing.
That's kind of what this show's about. Nostalgia, in fact, I think that word was coined back in the 17th century, if my mind is serving me correctly.
That's more than nostalgic.
Yes, and actually it was considered a medical condition. If you look it up, look up
being
the history.
Nostalgic.
Right, because...
Did they have medicine for it?
No, I don't know. I think it was considered a medical condition akin to the homesickness type thing. When people get homesick, it was kind of a form of melancholy.
Gotcha. A depression of sorts.
Yeah, to put people back in a better mood. These days, actually, there's been some research, and some of these folks believe that nostalgia functions in a positive way to improve your mood.
Being nostalgic can improve your mood. I agree.
Being nostalgic can
I agree. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a melancholy thing.
And it connects people. You hear people always say, when a major event happened, where were you when that happened?
Yeah.
Where were you in the crash of 29?
Yeah, I wasn't born yet.
Where were you when the atomic bombs were dropped?
Still not alive.
Right. You know when the first credit card was invented?
I'm guessing in the 50s.
You're close. They actually was invented in 1950. The first credit cards came out. And what were the first credit cards, do you think? What can you guess?
Visa and MasterCard.
No. That came way later. The very first two credit cards in the world that were invented were in the USA. This was Diners Card and American Express.
Diners Club?
Diners. I think it's just Diners Card.
And American Express?
And American Express. And those had to be paid that month.
You had to pay it in full.
Right. You had to pay it in full that month. The Cuban Missile Crisis. Mm-hmm. I know you don't remember that, but I was just a little kid. I remember my mother being very, very nervous about that whole thing going down with Kennedy and all that. Mm-hmm. As a little kid, that's one of my first memories. This is maybe why I like ironing. Because my mother, my very first memory...
I thought the Cuban Missile Crisis, that's the reason you like ironing. That's what I got from that.
Well, it's leading into something else.
Oh, okay.
The very first image of my mother that I remember, I was sitting on the floor in the dining room at our house in Hegwish. And my mother had the ironing board set up, and it was kind of like that fisheye kind of look, that I remember. Mm-hmm. And mother was ironing, her hair was set and with a babushka on.
Of course.
So any of the steam from the iron wouldn't didn't mess it up. And she'd be ironing, and I remember she was talking to a friend, maybe on the party line, on the landline, on the phone, on the wall phone, that she was nervous about these missiles coming. And that's, of course, growing up in the Hegwish area, there were a lot of steel mills right around our house, and the Nike site was
I was going to say the Nike site was near you.
A half a mile from our house, right next to Wolf Lake. But where were you when those things happened? JFK, I know you.
I was not alive.
Pat's 15 years younger than I, so I'm in black and white, she's in color.
Always.
I remember where I was when Kennedy was shot. When John F. Kennedy was shot, it was 1963 November. Mm-hmm. I was in first grade in the classroom. I remember it was maybe midday, maybe 1 o'clock, somewhere like that. Mm-hmm. And all the nuns were just huddling around, and there was like Class turn to page. Well, we were in first grade. The class turn to page 2 and read that, or look at the pictures or something. And then there was like hustle and bustle in the hallways. You know, they close the door. You wonder what's going on. You're a little kid. Everyone starts talking, cheating, passing notes. Pretext used to pass notes in school. Remember?
Of course.
That was fun. Texting is
not when someone you didn't want grabbed the note though.
Well, you have to be careful. How did that happen? Someone intercepted? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Passing notes in school. I remember that. Now they just text. Yeah. No fun. You gotta
tweet.
Or tweet. Yeah, but that goes out everywhere. Text is personal.
True.
So unless you put it up on the bulletin board, you do your note and put it up on the bulletin board in the hallway. Like Cot's ready for some action. Right?
Yeah, that always happened.
Where were we? Oh, when JFK was shot. So yes. I was there when JFK was shot. Not there. I was in.
You were in Dallas?
I was in the classroom, St. Florian Grade School, right next door to the church. We could see the church from our classroom. First grade class. I was in this room when Kennedy was shot back in 1963. And I remember they sent us home. JFK was shot. John F. Kennedy was shot. Oh, my God. The president shot. And we were like, oh, good. We get to go home. You know, I know it's bad, but no, it's good. No, it's bad. It's bad he was shot. It's good we're going home. Why are we going home anyway?
Because he got shot.
All our parents were at work. A lot of parents were at work. My mom and dad were at work, but we had the key underneath the mat, or sometimes the back door was just open at our house. So I just walked home.
Yeah.
No bus, no ride. Walked home, first grade.
Like you do.
Yep. Our parents told us if a creep comes up to you, run away.
Yep. That's your defense.
Hey, kid, you want some candy?
Run!
No, you creep.
Run!
I always had that intuition. I don't know how kids don't these days. The parents you have to let the kid know not to go with a stranger. Simple early parenting instructions. So I remember where I was when that happened. I remember where I was when Robert F. Kennedy was shot, and that was back in 1968. And Martin Luther King, I can't remember exactly where. I think I was at home, and I don't know what day it happened. Martin Luther King was shot prior to Robert F. Kennedy, I believe. I'll have to Google it, but I'm not doing it. I was not
alive for either one of those two.
I think both times my dad called from work, and that was unheard of. My father, you couldn't call home from work unless there was an extreme emergency. Somehow he got to the phone at work. He worked for Gatex out in East Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I remember answering the phone, and he goes, Robert F. Kennedy was shot. Turn the TV on. So you had to turn the TV on. Back then we had those tube TVs, the consoles.
You had to pull it out.
Like a piece of furniture. You had to pull it out and wait like a half hour for it to warm up.
And then change.
Then try and get Channel 7 in between.
And get the rabbit ears.
Yeah, Channel 7 never went right on 7. We have to go between 6 and 7 and kind of find that center spot so it held on. Elvis, you remember where you were when Elvis died? You were 5 years old.
I do not remember.
What's your first memory as a kid?
My first memory?
As a little kid.
Jumping out of my crib when I was 3 years old.
You remember that, but you don't remember when Elvis was shot. When Elvis died.
I don't think my parents cared, and so that wasn't like news in our house.
Your parents didn't care about Elvis?
Elvis and John Lennon, neither one of those.
Didn't make the Marlow.
Nope, newsletter. Nope. No, the very first big news story that I remember was when the Challenger blew up, and I was actually at our gym class was bowling, and so at the bowling alley, the TVs were on, and that
sounds like fun.
We saw what was going on the TVs.
Beer frame.
Something happened. We get back to school, and they had brought the TVs into the junior high classes, and we were all watching.
Did they have them on stands like wheels?
Yes. Yeah. And so we were just watching that the rest of the day.
Is it AV, audio
the
visual?
AV club, yeah.
Who's the AV guy? I want to be the AV guy. No, you're a mental case. They wouldn't let me do it. Challenger, that was 1986.
That's the first. I was junior high. That was the first.
So what, 7th grade?
7th, 8th grade.
So how old were you?
13.
That's the first disaster you remember?
Yes.
I don't believe you didn't see Elvis. I mean, that was all plastered over everything.
But again, here's the thing. Did my
How about the moon landing? Oh, no, you were born in 72.
Yeah.
Moon landing, I was at home. I remember we were just waiting. We were playing, we used to play...
Pick-up sticks?
We used to do that.
Marbles?
Marbles, yeah, we used to do that. Our favorite thing was we had the rubber ball the size of a regular baseball, like an MLB ball. But it was rubber. and it even had fake seams in it.
Okay.
We'd go to Joints, that's a little dime store right there in Hegwish. And I think it was $0.25 for the rubber ball, and you get it to be nice and white. It had a nice coating of white, and my parents had an awesome stairway in the front porch. The stairs had about 7 stairs, nice size, with a nice curve on the end of the step. It wasn't a sharp, it was a nice kind of curve, perfect for fast rubber ball pitching. And you had your mitt, and I would just pitch against the porch. Now, one thing you had to watch out for was the screen door window. So that was the only problem you had if you had a wild pitch, or if the ball skidded and bounced up and broke the window, which I did about maybe 6-7 times. But I couldn't help myself because I felt like a star when I was playing fastball, rubber ball, fast pitching
ball
against the stairway. And then I had my mitt, my glove.
Yes.
And if you'd hit it on the edge, you get a nice fly ball. You run back past the curve. Back she goes. Back. Oh, he grabs it. So
those were your glory days.
This is how we entertained ourselves. What was I leading? Oh, that was for the moon landing. Yes. So I was playing fast pitching rubber ball against the stairs in front of our house, and my dad said, "Hey, come on in. The moon's land. The guys are on the moon.
The moon is landing."
So I went in and watched on the old black and white, and then it was quite exciting. That they're really on the moon. Was it fake? That whole thing was going on.
Please.
Challenger.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago. I happened to be in Chicago then. I was driving down Milwaukee Avenue right past Como Inn. I was in a cab going somewhere, and then I heard it on the radio. So then I was like, "Oh man, dude, drop me at a bar now with TV."
Yeah.
Went in, had a drink, and watched the Challenger disaster. Berlin Wall.
I was in high school, and I remember covering it in our yearbook, actually. I don't recall the actual moment of it being torn down, but I remember it was my senior year of high school, and the one section of the yearbook that my friend Kristen Todd and I were handling was the mini mag, which was all the events and fashion and music of that year.
Of East Chicago?
Of that, of that year for the yearbook. We had
jeans
the Berlin Wall
tucked into your socks
and double rolled. The funny thing is, side note, I had all this music stuff listed in there, and I mentioned Love and Rockets and all these other bands, and a few people were giving me crap going, "We don't listen to that, we don't know who that is." And this day and age, they all listen to all of that.
Right.
Back from the
You were
80s.
ahead of your time, baby. Berlin Wall, I can't remember where I was. I was in New York City. I know that I was living in New York.
I know where David Hasselhoff was.
Where was he?
He was at the Wall.
Oh, he was at the Wall.
He was at the Wall. I remember that.
Who was the Russian president then?
Gorbachev.
Oh, Gorbachev. Take down your pants.
Take down. No, it was take down the wall.
Oh, take down the wall. I'm stealing
Leave
that
up your
from
pants.
Larry the K.
Yeah.
That was an old line he used. Good one, Larry. A lot of things, major events. It's weird. People always say, "Where were you?" I was at work. Like when 9/11 happened, you called me. I was at work. Watched it on TV. It was hard to work because I wanted to follow it because they have. I used to live in New York, and I was kind of traveling back and forth at that time. And you had to continue working, and I remember my stupid boss. He goes, "Business continues. We have to. Business is always going on."
And you were really worried about me getting out of Chicago because Chicago was going to get hit, and I had to get on the train to come home. But I had to finish up certain things at work before I could leave. Here's another one, though. I don't know if you have on that list. Where were you when Princess Diana died?
I remember it well. I was upstate New York. We were in rehearsals, and that was another thing. We just stopped and watched that for like 4 days.
I was at my apartment, and my best friend Kathleen was working at a local newspaper and came home that night, and we just watched it it was over a weekend, I believe, so we just all weekend, that's all we were watching.
And the thing I hate about that, the cops, I know they gotta wait to tell you but you gotta get a guy in there who gets some dirt right away. We got a picture of her, post it up, but I know it's the family and all that, but I don't like waiting. I want the information right away.
Even when it has nothing to do with you.
But where were you when those major events happened? So a lot of people say, I was driving my car, I was in a cab, you were at school, you're at work. You never get a guy saying, You know, when that major event happened, I was in the middle of a crap. I was on the toilet.
Who the hell would admit to that?
Where were you when Kennedy was shot? I was climaxing as I was making love, and I came across the telly.
Again, why would you say that?
Well, they tell you everything else. They tell you, oh, yeah, we're in the car, we're driving there, we're going there, we're at the Dairy Queen. Why not be honest? I want to know good honesty.
I don't want to know either of those things.
I was jacking off. It's not a clean show, is it? No, not very clean.
NSFW.